A lot of people sometimes ask me what my builds are, what I run for general content or for just content in general, and I figured that I would spend some time today going through every single weapon that I use, the warframes that I use, and why I use them in the different content that I have. I will try to include some informational things on the screen so that you can find it a little bit more useful. But anyway, other than that, let's go ahead and get started. I've already talked about the build for Hildren Prime in the past, so I'm not going to go over it too much now, but very quickly, the entire build that I have for Hildren is based around giving buffs to others. My second and third and fourth ability are all based around stealing shields from enemies, and then using those shields to both give shields to my partners and other people I'm playing with, and for Voracious Metastasis to give other people energy so that they can reproc their abilities whenever they feel like it, and heal me, even though I don't have a whole lot of health. But yeah, my whole build is focused around buffing others. Multi-augmented, that just makes that stronger, and Arcane Aegis, it has the chance to keep me from dying immediately after I lose my shield, after my shield gating has procced. So I'm not going to talk too much about her. What I am going to talk about today are my weapons, my pet, and basically everything all else around that. So, right now I really only carry about 2 to 3 different main weapons on me. 2 to 3 different primary weapons. The first one is going to be Strun. Now, before using Strun, I really was only using 1 to 2 different main weapons, but ever since the incarnate form for Strun has come out, it has not only become, like, a lot of people's choice as just, like, a very solid shotgun, but it is, like, probably my favorite primary in the game, and that has unseated the second one that we're going to talk about here in just a few minutes. But the Strun, very freaking cool. Now, before it got its incarnate form, it was an okay shotgun, I would like to say. People may or may not disagree, but with its incarnate form, and I will go through all of the options. You may have seen them before, you may not have, but I'll just go through all of that, like, really quickly here. But anyway, it is an amazing gun because of all of the stuff that was added with the incarnate form. So, first one we don't need to talk about, that just adds it to it. Second one here, Blazing Barrel, increases damage and on fire, gives a 5% multi-shot, stacks up to 5. That's very useful because whenever so the way that it works, and I'll see if I can add a clip here. If there's no clip on the screen, the way that it works, excuse me, is whenever you shoot, it adds more multi-shot. It's very useful because whenever you shoot somebody with a shotgun, chances are they're probably not going to be hit in the head as much unless you're doing Steel Path. So this weapon is actually really useful in Steel Path because you don't really need to aim a whole lot. If you're standing a considerable distance from an enemy, you can just look at them and then shoot at them, and chances are you're going to be filling up the barrel, and that's pretty dang useful in my opinion. So go for that multi-shot. Third one is 30% projectile speed, swift deliverance. Pretty much self-explanatory. Fourth one here, now this one is kind of optional. It's really dependent on you. I have chosen this one just because I think critical chance is absolutely important for its incarnate form. You could choose to go with either critical chance or the status percent chance. Completely up to you, but I chose critical chance, and the reason why is, so this is my mod setup here. Some of this is going to be optional. You're going to have to make this choice, some of the choices for these yourself, but I'm going to go through why I chose every single one of them. But the total damage in its incarnate form, which is honestly where this weapon shines, is it doesn't look like a whole lot, but it is actually a whole lot more. In fact, I think a lot of it is actually procced off the critical chance here. Now the critical chance here, very, very large. It's 242%. It's quite a lot. Now, that for those that don't know, critical chance, after you hit 100%, there is a second and third critical damage that you can do. There is the first one that is yellow, the second one that is orange, and then the third one, which is red. Deep, very deep red. It's very satisfying to see. So, having it over 200%, it's already going to be doing the second tier proc of the critical chance, and it's really good. And then having this critical multiplier here, which is pretty dang good, has also led to... I have seen 1 million damage with this gun. I will say that. It doesn't happen all the time. It varies, but I have seen up to 1 million damage with this gun, and it's pretty good. Pretty good. So, first mod, Prime Ravage, critical damage, Self-explanatory. Second one, critical chance and fire rate. In my personal opinion, you don't need a whole lot of fire rate with this gun. Once you get it to its incarnate form, it's already pretty damn good. Third one, cold and reload speed. That's just to add cold and reload speed. It's kind of to help out with the lack of reload speed here. Toxic Barrage Toxin and Status Chance. Status Chance is actually very important for this gun, as well as the critical chance. You can add some critical chance on top of, or excuse me, status on top of that. You're going to have those status effects, and I do have a couple of status effects. Actually, more than a couple. I have quite a few here. If you add those status effects to it, it does stupid damage. Really stupid damage. So, adding that on there, really helpful. Galvanized adds multi-shot and adds multi-shot for every kill. Very useful, in my opinion. Maybe not as useful in Steel Path. It depends on which Steel Path mission you're doing, but I think it's actually really good. Now, this one is my Strun Ribbon. This one was actually given to me, and I think I may have re-rolled it a couple of times, but this is a pretty good ribbon mod here. I don't know if you're going to find something better, honestly. It has 100% critical chance, 110% heat, negative 105% weapon recoil, so the weapon recoil is actually really solid on this, and negative 43% magazine capacity. That's the only one that kind of bites, but that's okay. So, like, when it comes to magazine capacity, I'm pretty sure that doesn't it doesn't give a debuff to your magazine capacity when you're in the incarnate mode, because the incarnate mode is 40. The regular magazine outside of incarnate form is 6 with this debuff on here, which is totally fine. Having 6 shots, listen, you can get to the incarnate form in 1 shot. One really good shot to an enemy. Again, it's kind of random, but one really good shot to an enemy, you can get full incarnate form. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3. The lowest I have had it up is in 1 shot, and yeah, that's pretty good. So, magazine capacity doesn't really matter, because once you're in incarnate form, you can just spam that, and it's pretty good. Prime Point Blank, extra damage, pretty good. It actually ups the damage quite a bit, really useful. I'd say if you can just get any point blank, but if you can get the primed one, good. And Seeking Fury, this one's a little bit optional in my personal opinion. This adds reload speed and punch through. Really useful for multiple targets, and also really useful for, you know, reloading and all that stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, this one's kind of optional. The Ribbon mod, if you don't have a ribbon for it, honestly, I would probably say that you want to put Galvanized Savvy on it, because Galvanized Savvy gives status chance on kill, and it ups that every single time that you get a kill. But if you do have a ribbon, I would consider cycling. So this is my personal opinion. If you have a ribbon for this gun, I would consider cycling. It's very... number 1, critical chance. Number 2, anything else. You know, weapon recoil is definitely optional. But critical chance is definitely the highest on the list. And maybe if you can get it, some sort of extra weapon damage, such as heat, which I have on here. So, very useful for that chance, for that alone. As for X-list mods, I actually don't know of an X-list mod I want to put on here yet. I will probably put Galvanized Acceleration when I continue forming this. I have not finished forming this gun, mostly because I'm lazy and I haven't yet, but if I am to one day do it, I will probably put Galvanized Acceleration on there, because it's just projectile speed, beam length, bonus is pretty good. But yeah, it's kind of optional. I'm not too worried about getting on that anytime soon. Now, for your arcanes here, the one I am going to suggest is this one, which is giving damage on kill, and it's an extra percentage of damage based off of how much you have. Eventually, my goal is to get all the way to rank 5, because it's 30% reload speed. Pretty dang good in my personal opinion. Only useful if you're in the regular form, but out of all of the other ones, this one is probably the best one. But anyway, that is pretty much the mods for this. Let me move on to the... let me move on to my secondary here, my first secondary here. And I have a couple of secondaries that I choose in and out. I really don't have a favorite, but it is situational. And actually, my secondary is based off of what my primary and my melee is. But my secondary here is the Latum. It is another incarnate weapon. The Latum was actually my very first incarnate weapon, and it has a special place in my heart. The way that the Latum works, it is like a pistol. It turns into a mini submachine gun when you get it into its incarnate form, and it is absolutely mad. So the perks I go for this one are Disregarding the first one here. Evolution 2, Marksman's Hand, lowers weapon recoil, really good. Evolution 3, on headshot, 30% reload speed for 12 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. That's also pretty damn good. This is only really going to be useful for you getting into the incarnate form. Evolution 4, 20 status chance and negative critical chance, and you want to get rid of critical on this gun as much as possible because of the 5th evolution here. I believe this is the evolution that's on most of the base incarnate weapons, but evolution 5, 50% chance to do 2000% damage on non-critical hits. So my LATAM is actually as low as well, you could probably make it lower. There's probably, if I could get a ribbon for it, I could probably make it have negative status chance or critical chance, but my critical chance on here is 12%, pretty dang good. And again, as it says, every time you have a non-critical shot, it has a 50% chance to do that much more damage. Pretty good, in my opinion. I think that is definitely important. Let me run through the mods here, and again, it doesn't do a lot of damage in its base form here. It's the incarnate form that you are really going to enjoy more, because, you know, 5,000 damage is really nice, but, like, a lot more than that is the 3,000, or whatever number it was, the extra damage that goes into that, so, pretty good one. Let me run over the mods here. Galvanized Diffusion, multi-shot, and more multi-shot for every kill, very important. Hornet Strike, I don't have the prime version of this. As soon as I do, it's going to switch out. It's going to switch that out into that. Magnum Force, damage for accuracy, totally fine. It's one of the better ones to put on here. Lethal Torrent, fire rate, and multi-shot, pretty good. One of the best 60s in the game, in my opinion. Expel Grenier, this is optional, 100% optional. I would say that if you are running, this depends on what you're running. And in fact, I'm probably going to switch this out for Prime Expel Corpus because I'm working on a sister right now. But whenever I am doing extra damage to Corpus or sisters or whatever, very good one to have. Pistol Pestilence, it's a 60-60 for Toxin and Status Chance, really good. And Galvanized Shot, this adds Status Chance and direct damage per status effect, which pretty good. There is more that I typically add onto it, but a lot of them are optionals, and I pick and choose based off of what I am doing here. So, you know, I could throw this one. Actually, no, I think I do have this one on there as well. Now it just adds heat damage onto it. Okay, so, yeah, that's the last one I had on here, which is Primed Heated Charge. You can just throw any heat charge on here, but that gives it radiation, gas damage, pretty good. Pretty good. Radiation damage, pretty good. Both of those are pretty good, but like, that is the one that I add on, and it's the last one. And then Trick Mag is completely optional, but like, if you want to add extra ammo, which you don't really need, because when you get to the incarnate form, you have unlimited ammo until you run out of the ammo. But that is pretty much my build for the LATAM. Pretty good. And the melee that I'm going to talk about, and honestly, I don't have a lot of melees that I really enjoy in the game. There's really only like 1 or 2 that I enjoy, and that is because when it comes to melees, I do not use them very often, because I don't know, I'm playing a game with guns, and the gunplay in this game is pretty good, and while the melees are okay, I feel like in higher end content, I am more used to doing gunplay as opposed to melees. Now that could change, and I am building more melees for things such as the circuit, or for doing regular Juveri. But for the most part, I am not much of a melee person. But when I am a melee person, I have like 1 to 2 different melees. And the first one is the Kratos. It's another incarnate weapon. Seeing a little bit of a theme here, I know. But all of the incarnates are really good. And the Kratos is absolutely no exception. I really love it for its attack. I have its attack speed really high. And its incarnate form, when I decide to use it, is also pretty good. So, Evolution 2, attack speed up. Basic. Evolution 3, for every hit, for each enemy hit by a slam radius, gain a 4% combo count. So when I'm doing my slam attacks, extra combo counts, really useful, especially when there's a lot of other dudes around you. Evolution 4 is 30% parkour velocity. This one's kind of optional, I'll be honest with you. Some people would say that they'll choose the other options on there, but I choose parkour velocity specifically because, and this is one of the reasons why I have this weapon equipped, is so that I can go further with my parkour. This actually helps me to be faster when I am doing things, and I think that is personally important. And for the last one, collecting ammo grants 5 melee combo counter. The last one is honestly more optional as well when it comes to the Kratos, but that is the one that is one I decided to choose. And I may switch it out. It's honestly kind of, the last one is not really damage dependent, but let me go into the upgrades here. Now, when it comes to the Praetos, I haven't put much format on it yet because I don't really know how much more I want to build it. There's probably some better mods I can put on it, but again, I'm not much of a melee user, again, just for what I previously mentioned, but when I do use melee damage, this is basically the build I have. When it comes to the, I guess I only have one here, but I use the Gemini Cross here, adding extra cost, and the stance for this is actually pretty good, so I enjoy it. So, Killing Blow, extra melee damage on heavy attack, and the wind-up speed, really useful. Vicious Frost, it's a 60-60 with cold and status chance. Prime Pressure Point, very awesome mod that I think everybody should have. It's just extra melee damage, absolutely amazing. Volcanic Edge, it's a 60-60 with heat and status chance. Drifting Contact, combo duration, and status chance. This one's actually very important. I would suggest if you would like the incarnate forms, especially for these melee weapons, you need to get something that gives you combo duration and well, the combo duration itself is like one of the most important things. Because if you don't, you're gonna be like, you're gonna unfortunately be like, I don't have enough time. But with this, my combo duration is actually really high, and I have a little bit of breathing room. It's just like, if there's a guy all the way across the room, it's like, okay, I can run over there and not have to worry about losing my combo immediately. Fervor Strike, Toxin, probably gonna replace it eventually with the better version. Fury, attack speed, this one's really important because I love my attack speed, especially when I am using my melee. And Prime Reach to give me a range. Very big. Very important. And again, this isn't my my best built weapon, but it is like my favorite melee in the game. And again, a little bit of a theme, but I do like the incarnate weapons. I do think that they work out very well. Yeah. So if you want to see other stuff like that, please let me know down in the comments. If you have questions about builds or things please let me know as well. I do like reading comments and hearing what people have to say about stuff like this. I really do appreciate that. But that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, a like would be much appreciated. Please be sure to comment down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And if you really would like to, consider becoming a member on the channel. It's only 99 cents per month. And I deeply enjoy it. And you get emotes for free, which I think is pretty cool. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I have been Mom. I hope this has been informative. And you have a fantastic day. Bye!